You're listening to Relatable with Stephanie Michelle, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Relatable. I am your host, Stephanie Michelle, and this is a very, very special show because we are going to hear from you, hopefully, and see what you're thinking about and what's on your mind. To warm up to that, I asked my guest host, Robert, you might recognize him. He's been here before.
I have. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if my head's down for the first minute. I'm just trying to get it shared out.
Oh yeah. So we're because we're gonna be hearing from you via Facebook Live and Collins. We were gonna have a little bit of technical scramble right now to make sure that Robert's followers can see this too. But yeah, so you can keep your head down for a minute because
Technology.
I'm just gonna talk about my stuff for a minute.
It's all good.
All right, go. It's good?
It's good.
You
I
just
think
made
we're
it happen?
good.
All right.
I do want to say that I like your show because I have to work on my posture here.
Oh, yeah? Let's out-posture each other. I can't out-tall you, but let me out-posture you.
You could probably
so you can read my shirt. You have to read my shirt.
I had my World's Best Dad shirt on, but I blended in with...
Yeah, it was green. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so... Just to set a precedence for what we're going to do, open topic show today. I asked Robert, and I, committed to doing it as well, to just kind of like check in on the news either last night or this morning to figure out, what might be some topics that we would both want to talk about just to warm it up for you guys. And after putting that out there, I kind of regret it. I couldn't do it last night. I worked late last night shooting a new boot line that you guys will hear about soon. But so I did it this morning, and I kind of regret it. And here's why. So as I was trying to find topics, I was completely just distracted by so much news and trying to focus in. And it was really difficult to just stay focused. And I felt instant fatigue, which was a real bummer because I woke up with inspiration. I was feeling good and super inspired, and I had this buzzkill because I couldn't stay focused. So I tried to anchor my focus by what's the topic that's most on your mind, and pick a couple things because we can't talk about everything, and what falls under that. And so my focus topic is just this idea of we live in a culture of interruptions. And what I mean by that is all things, what is culture of interruptions, you might ask? What I mean by that is all things. Before the show, we were doing different accents. Now I feel like I have to do it in the show. It's going to be fun. But what I mean by that is all things that distract us from finding personal peace and meaning. And one of the things that I watched this morning was a video that my friend Maria had posted on her page. And it was this video of Jim Carrey, who is painting. Jim Carrey is a cool, amazing artist. And he was talking about why he's leaned into painting. And what he said was, he's been through some personal trauma. I'm not going to share all that now, but he's definitely been through some relational trauma in his life and in his recent interactions. And he decided, to really heal from that he was going to paint. And he's really good. And he said something in the video that just stood out to me. He said, we want to show ourselves and be accepted. And that just really calmed me. That got me out of feeling fatigued and distracted. I guess the more that I dig in and I'm exposed to other people's thoughts and feelings around what is the meaning of life and how do we find happiness, I believe it comes back to that we just want to be seen. We want to show ourselves in a way and have some acceptance around that. Well,
I think that it's probably it's more so true here in Los Angeles, but I think that the more and more I live, I start to realize that I'm not as extroverted as I thought I was. Yeah. And I'm actually very introverted. Yeah. And it's weird because I do have a podcast, and last night I'm sitting there talking to my wife about pitching another idea that I've had for a book, but I think I could make it into a documentary. Like, it's as much as I just want to like cower down inside, like there's a lot of creativity and I think that it's not so much that it only helps you, that I think that when you get to share that and people resonate with your product, your art, your thought, your creation, I think there's power behind the resignation.
Way to finish that thought for me, Robert. But yeah, I agree with that. It's not just selfishly finding what it is. It's finding something that you think there might be a connection to a bigger meaning or a group of people, or it motivates something, or there's when you, I don't know, tap into more than just this. Mm-hmm. I think you're on the right track.
And sometimes you can't even like control it. It just flows so fast, and it might be crap, but like
but at least it's flowing.
You know, they say like
sorry.
At least it's flowing. I don't know if that shouldn't be something that catches on. Like I think that the mindset is that we have to be perfect, right? People think that like, oh, if you're going to be an artist, you have to be a perfect artist. Oh, if you want to write blogs, you have to be a perfect writer. And you hear a lot of people say like, my best piece of work is the least looked at, like something I just like threw together in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like that's the thing that went viral, and people like get so frustrated at the mindset of trying to like stay at status quo and.
Well, so let's I think there's a vibe that you give off when you just authentically connected to whatever it is that makes you feel joy and love, and then somebody else just kind of grabs that vibe and then like it just has a life of its own. It's like you're not doing it because you need to. It's for any kind of attention or outside influence. It's just like, I needed to do that. Yeah. And there you go. Yeah. Like it's just out there. So, all right, that's kind of our first thought to put out there is like, what are your thoughts on finding happiness, being happy, pursuing it or just maintaining it? Thanks, Robert. You just kicked me out of the table. I don't even know why. What was it? Something I said?
Ruining your pedicure. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's cool. So that's the first thought I'm going to put out there in Facebook. What are your thoughts on being happiness or being happiness? Like, oh, that's some good grammar in the morning. What are your thoughts on being happy? And then later we'll take some call-ins on that. But talk amongst yourself on Facebook right now. And then, and just, moving into our topic. Well, I probably should introduce you.
Okay.
Yeah, you should.
I have been here before, so it's kind of it's normal.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'll introduce myself.
Okay, great. I know you're itching to talk, so just do it. Go for it.
Haven't I already been like taken over?
Yeah.
No, I'm Robert Graves. Thank you for having me back again. Author of How to Grow a Beard, a military transition guide back into civilian life. Host of You're the Vet, a podcast where the book was my 6-year story about the lessons I learned in my transition, and I give back my story and my lessons learned. And so the natural transition would be to share other veteran stories. And so that's where You're the Vet came from. So You're the Vet, I have now it's been growing significantly fast, and it's very fun, to be a kind of a platform that people can reach out and they reach out to me, hey, like I'm going through this divorce, and it's like really heavy stuff, but it's good. Everything's been good. I've just gotten green lighted to move into my doctorate program for sports psychology, clinical psych, and so things have been good. I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to wrap up my master's, move into my doctorate, and like see if I can get some sponsors for what I'm doing. And I'm really excited about this documentary. Like I formed in my head last night. But
nice.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me again.
All right. Hello, world.
Hello.
I see we're doing the accents again. All right. So that's Robert. That's who Robert is.
Boston accent up.
Yeah. So to help kick off, like, what are we going to talk about? Let's see if we had any matchups. Did you watch the news? Or did you just watch The Bachelorette? So, Be honest.
Okay, so The Bachelorette ended.
Watched The Bachelorette.
It ended there was a process, right? Our dog had to go to the vet last night, and so the season finale was 3 hours. And you're like, whoa, 3 hours for one show? And so Arlene had to stop what she was doing, go get...
Arlene's his wife.
My wife. Go get Sherman from from VCA, and like
Sherman's his dog.
And by the time we started this thing up, it was like 2 hours, like 2 more hours at 2:00. I was like, oh my God. But the news came on afterwards, and just in pure news fashion, it was the most negative thing. Like right after, you got this lady, she just got proposed to. Oh my God, there's all these happy tears.
They're
and
playing
then,
like happy love songs.
And then tonight on Fox News, a house burns down because, you know, a car ran through it, drunk drivers. It's like instant. Like the news comes on, it's instant, like boom.
Culture of interruption. See,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
See.
saying. You're
Negative-
feeling good, and then boom.
Negative entertainment with style news.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, so out of that, did you turn the channel? Did you find it? What if I just said, Robert, rapid fire?
I'll tell you.
What are like 3 or 4 topics that
Yeah.
are on your mind right now? Let's see if we match up anywhere on these topics.
We don't, because I know your topics.
I didn't tell all of them on Facebook.
No, but I went to Twitter, right, to see what was trending. But I was looking at that. But the topics that are on my mind are, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. So entrepreneurship's been on my foremind heavy, right? And so that's been the thing that I've been thinking about the most. So like tech in the news, which listening to this podcast called Startup, I saw that you brought up the Google contractor, which blends well with this podcast I was listening to, where the second season of Startup, they're trying to start something called Dating Ring, and the female CEOs are going out trying to get this money, and they're not catching a break because they're females in the tech world. And so like there's sites called like blog sites where there's tech guys up in Silicon Valley that say women shouldn't be in the media or in the tech world, and they don't have a place. So it's interesting that came up because it seems that there's a problem with that. And I'm the one that preaches like, oh, we're progressing, you know, all this stuff's going to just like phase out at some point. But it seems like we progress more in like racial more than we do in sexual terms. It's weird to see still.
Probably goes. It's like just when one's progressing, the other one's probably.
It's weird.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Not. Well, so there is some focus between us. So let's talk about that. So what he was alluding to, and I hope I got some notes on it, is there was a Google engineer that was fired for putting out a 10-page manifesto on diversity, which he's kind of anti-diversity in many ways. I started to read it, by the way. It's 10 pages, and I'll share the links after the show. It's not like, you know, when you hear the word manifesto, even me saying it, it's like manifesto. It sounds like evil. It sounds like something that somebody went off on a rant. He's pretty, intelligent. He makes some points that I could definitely agree on. Just in skimming it, I haven't read it. I want to be clear about that. But he put on a 10-page manifesto, and I think probably the biggest problem is against Google's culture. That's what created the problem.
Yeah.
Now, was he, were they right in firing him? I mean, is it a First Amendment issue? Like, yes, absolutely has the right to say that. And he said, like, he's put out a statement that the Google engineer that was fired, he said that he confirmed he was dismissed, and he said that he was fired for perpetuating gender stereotypes. And he said, of course, that he is currently exploring all possible legal remedies. So I don't want to approach this from is it right that he was fired or not, or even really talk about diversity, because I mean that's a show. This is a show in itself. I'm curious, like, what people think his motivation for doing it. Like, I mean, does he know that he was going to be fired?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure his motivation for doing it was not to find a girlfriend, because he's going to have a difficult time doing so after this. But I mean, what's the motivation? You think? What do you guys think too? If you're watching along on Facebook, what do you think his motivation was for, sitting down and writing a 10-page manifesto on anti-diversity?
What do you think it was?
I don't know. I mean, I
put yourself in his shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that my concern, and I don't know if this is necessary as motivation, is like when someone stops to do something like this that and he's a smart guy. He's an engineer. And again, by skimming it, I'm like, I know this person's smart. He's intelligent, you know. He had to
book smart.
Well, yeah, well, we're going to get to that. So I'm definitely going to get to that. You know, so he had to weigh out some like, should I do this? Should I not? And know that it was going to be controversial, you know. And so maybe he just wanted to leave Google, and this was a good way. And maybe he wants some Google money, and he wants to, you know, sue him. Like, or maybe, you know, and I can't help but think, because this is who I am, you know, and this is what the show is about, is like somewhere along the lines he's falling out of relating probably with women, because some of the things that he has said in there, it's like, yeah, you haven't been around a woman in a while, have you? Because it just, like, it's not fact-based. It's, you know, he made some points about women are not scientifically made to program or, you know, to pursue things. And it's like, look, anybody that wants to do anything can do it.
Yeah, you know, I got out of the Marine Corps, and I spent 6 years in the civilian sector building radar, right? So a lot of the engineers there, a lot of the programmers there, they were all, you know, females, and they had just as much pull and as much say on what goes on in the programming as the males did, right? However, I worked at this place where it was also, well, we've been doing this for the last 30 years, so that's how we're going to do it. So it was very slow, progressive, and chauvinistic place when it came to management and, you know, and just progression, right? Anyway, long story short, I've seen all kinds of people, and I can imagine that somebody that would write this could come from any source. One guy who's just super fed up because of that one lady at work that was just like way prima donna.
Or the culture itself of Google, right? Like it could be women, or it could be just like he felt maybe he got passed over for a promotion.
Well, I was also thinking like some of those programmers aren't, like I said, he might be book smart, but that doesn't mean he's street smart as well. And like, so a lot of these,
and you know, I just
dynamic
like, I have to say this because it came in, and he might argue, well, yeah, and that's why I'm not hosting a radio show. Like, he's not doing the thing he shouldn't be doing.
Well, he could be the guy who's playing Dungeons and Dragons at night. You know what I'm saying? That's what, like, he could be a gentleman or a dude who has never had this women to man interaction, and has probably tried online dating and Tinder. Nobody wants, like, to swipe whatever way you swipe positive, right? Swipe positive, like
you can tell he's married. He's like,
is that an STD? I swiped positive.
Like, what does this swiping mean? like it's so awesome.
Well, yeah, brownie points to me for not knowing.
Right. That's awesome.
So, but like, you know, there's guys there. There's people in the engineering world who have just no connection with real world. And it could be that person, you know, and there's sexist dudes and there's racist. I mean, it's all very prevalent in that world. It's super prevalent.
And I like, so Arlene says, freedom of speech doesn't excuse you from the freedom of consequences, especially when you represent a company. I mean, there's something to that, you know, and maybe that's the whole thing. He didn't care. Like, there's something that happened at work that he felt he was passed over for promotion or wasn't right. You know, there's something there that, like he said, you know what, this culture is no longer worth it. F Google. F women, F Google, you know? Or, you know, he's going for the paycheck. Let's see what happens in terms of, like, the litigation after this. But,
you know, I don't have any problem with Google letting him go, and not because of what he said, just because when you're running a company, if somebody doesn't fit in well,
yeah, I would
that's
think
my only argument.
At the end of the day, you know, who knows how long they talked about it, but it for sure putting something like this out there. And there's rumors. I just looked briefly at different articles around this. Like, it's been out there for a while, but it just finally got released in the public, and so they had to do something about it. But for sure, he would have been, if they allowed him to stay, it would have been a hostile environment for both him and for other people. You know, people that felt very strongly against what he said would have a problem with him, and, you know, and people that, you know, women that, you know, were discussed in the document, you know, they would find it difficult to be around him. So at the end of the day, I think it's right for the culture, whether it's a First Amendment issue or not. We'll see.
It's a workplace environment. Like when it all boils down to it, it's, you know, how am I going to make my business as productive as possible? You know, and if there's thought of somebody sitting right next to me that, you know, hates me because of race, sex, or gender.
It's going to be difficult.
It's hard.
It's going to be difficult. What are you guys thinking about on Facebook right now in terms of pursuit of happiness or how to be happy? Let me know, and I'll read a couple of those. What else? So
I'm interested in one thing and one thing only. Your top of the list says Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead O'Connor, yeah. So, yeah, this is you're gonna not be smiling
after
dating
yourself.
Yeah, that's so mean.
I'm dating myself too.
That's so mean.
That's why I'm curious.
Yeah. Okay, so this morning, I don't know when she did it, but there was in the news that Sinead put out a plea via Facebook, a video that she recorded in a hotel room that she's suicidal, that she's having suicidal thoughts, and didn't watch it all. Just want to preface this. I didn't watch it all. Just read the headline just because that's all the time that I had. But my immediate thought was, and remember, my focus right now is this culture of interruption. I think it's strange. And, you know, it says something about the fact that she put it out through Facebook, and I suspect that somewhere along the way she's feeling disconnected to people, like she's not getting filled up by relationships and, you know, being seen and loved for who she is. And, you know, we have this creature, this being, Facebook, I'm like pointing to it, Facebook, that, you know, then it becomes like the only way that we can say these things, you know, and I commend her for doing it, because look, you know, we've lost some pretty amazing musicians lately because of suicide, so I commend her for having the courage to do something. It's not about what's the appropriate forum. It's like, yeah, I'm glad that you did it, and I know that people are reaching out to her, and, you know, this is a topic that we need to care about, because people are feeling like the only way out is, you know, suicide, and I don't want that, you know. So that's what we're talking about. I mean, I feel for her.
You know, it's been very in our face in the recent past, from another service member, you know, a person that I've had interaction with and you know, have helped out. And it's crazy how it's crazy that we can lead ourselves down this road. And I would never say that it's a weakness, or, you know, it's a very real and prevalent and right there in your face, and it's scary, and you know, there's 1,000 different reasons that one person can get there. And, you know, when you feel like you can, what gets me is that when you feel like you can't talk to somebody and that nobody's willing to listen and nobody's there, I talk about this all the time. That's a belief system that you've created, right? Nobody, you know, all these telephone numbers that go around and all these companies, and, you know, you can walk into a church or, you know, like an AA meeting, like there's help out there. There's help, and that's all you have to remember.
But I also, so like, I don't know if the emphasis is on nobody. I just feel like as humans, we're dealing with so much more that you don't even know where to begin. Like we're comparing ourselves to the highlight reels of social media. We're, you know, bombarded by all this information. Like I physically, because, you know, for the last year, and I've done 3 shows on this about just being more in my body, just like really paying attention to how information, interactions with people, like everything's landing with me. Like, is it giving me energy? Is it not giving me energy? Is it because I think there's so much, and, you know, so much coming at me, and most people that we don't even have a way to process this stuff, you know? So, and then you have like, and everybody's got their own sort of issue or challenge around how they're processing it, and relating's the thing that's falling short. Like, you know, we're at lunches together, and people are picking up their phones 6 times rather than, like, talking to you, and like, whether you say it or not, what you're saying to the other person is you're not important. I mean, you were important enough, like we were important enough to like schedule the time to be with each other. Yeah. But now that you're here, you're not important enough. Like you're not entertaining me or whatever it is, but it's sending out that signal. And so we're kind of losing hope, or we're just not exercising the connection. And so it becomes too much, right? It becomes too much. And you don't even know how to have the conversation with somebody. Like, I'm feeling this. Like,
it's funny you say that, because like that whole mindset of just being quiet.
Yeah.
Right. Like, people find a lot of awkwardness in just sharing a moment. Like, I tell people, like, just shut up for a minute. Just shut up for 1 minute.
Can you tell me that right now?
No, it's just like, if we were to be quiet for a solid minute right now, it would be crazy awkward. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So like the power of just being quiet for a minute, right, is it's weird. It makes people uncomfortable. And a minute's not a long time, but a minute is a long time, right? At the same time. But and that's like when somebody's in that position, that dark area, like if you give a person a minute, right? It might not be a long time, but it might be long enough, right? And so, but there's signs, in the military, they teach us all the time. We go through suicide prevention training like once every 3 months, and there's a ton of signs, and like, you just have to be open to it and receptive to it, and like
signs that somebody else is going through it, or is it both. Like checking you to say, hey, you're going through it both. Too? Okay.
Yeah. So we kind of joke about it, but it's serious, right? And so one of a sign would be like, if I'm just giving my stuff away at this point, right? Here's, hey, do you want this, Louis Vuitton that I spent like 6 months of my salary on? Do you want my dog? Do you want this TV? When that starts happening, that's a sign, right?
You know what's coming up for me in this, and I think we'll finish this topic and then ask to see if anybody wants to talk to us before you just listen to us. So it's coming. Give me like 2 minutes to finish this. What's coming up for me when you're saying this is this, like when you're already in pain and you're just reaching for anything, like, like I'm going to consume alcohol. I'm going to, nervously, bite my nails off, or like I'm just doing something. And that is not dealing with it. And there is so much power in just, I'll just be silent for a minute. It's like, why people talk about meditation so much in prayer. It's like, this is what we've got to do to come out of it. And my point in this like culture of interruption, and what I worry about is, so if you're already there and you have all this other stuff that's like helping you stay fidgety, it's more challenging. And I read something recently that because of how our phone is, constantly like just going off like a jackpot, like every time there's a notification and you're like, ooh, is it someone I want to hear from or not? Is it going to be work, or, what is it? You're just like, it's just this constant like, anxiety.
Yeah.
That what it's really doing is rewiring us to only respond to that, to the point that you're self-interrupting yourself every 3 minutes. So that's like, if that's not hurting relationships, and if that's not getting in the way of your happiness, I don't know what is. Because it's not being able to have these silent moments and go, what is it that I need right now?
Yeah. We stay so connected. We stay so connected with like, I hate the fact that I have to, in order to thrive in what I want to do, I have to stay so socially connected. It drives me nuts. But, one of the things that I've been working on myself and then passing off to my athletes and the vets are like, even the Facebook notifications, I've turned off the badges for some of this stuff. So like, I don't see that I have 35 missed messages and I have to take time away. And that's helped me become more productive, even though I still go on once in a blue moon, or like, like by productivity, I'm not saying like I wrote another book or, something like that, but I'm able to not care what the social world is doing if I'm not seeing that little red dot that says I've got all these missed messages.
Yeah, your nervous system actually can handle and is enjoying the slowdown. Yeah. And you're fully present, and it's like it works because it's like supporting your well-being.
Well, there's in the tech world, apparently in the entrepreneurship world, there's apparently there is this saying
Apparently.
apparently there's FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah,
right.
of course.
And so I think that's where we're at in this world. And I mean, you have something that you'll go on soon that I feel is people are like, oh, this is healing, and I feel it's a fad, right? So we're in this fear of missing out in social media. We're in this fear of missing out on latest trends. We're in this. It's crazy, and that drives so much like expectation and anguish onto people that like. Especially for like somebody like Sinead O'Connor, where I don't know what she's doing now, but like what has she done in the last almost 30 years, right? It's like, is she still living this rock star past where there's the expectation? I don't know what's going on with her particular, but like when people live in expectation, when I was in Korea.
And the expectations of somebody else, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, because when I was in Korea, they said that Korea has the highest suicide rate with it for college students, because if these individuals, these adults can't live up to their parents' expectation of grades and job preference, they're falling off. They're literally falling off buildings. It's like, what? That's incredible, you know. But to even push yourself to that point where you're like, this is it because of somebody else's expectation on me. That's, I think, is the worst way to go. Like, your last thought is, I wasn't good enough.
And so other people can have expectations on you. You can put them on yourself. And the check-in is like, is this loving? Is this like the best thing that I can do? Like, you can feel every decision and choice you make. You actually can feel it. Like, and maybe you don't feel it right away, but like if you spend time with it and slow down, like you can kind of start to go, oh, maybe not. You know, I'm not feeling good about like putting that expectation on me. That's going to cause some pain later. All right, so we are we're ready to hear from you guys. So the number is 818-570-5085. That's 818-570-5085. We'll keep talking until you call in. But we've got a call. You ready?
Hi.
Hi. Hello, you're on the air. Hi. Who are we talking to?
Hi, how y'all doing?
Good.
Good. My name is Cornelius.
Hi, Cornelius.
Hi, Robert. Hi, Stephanie.
Good. Hey.
Where are you calling in from, Cornelius?
And I'm calling from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Do you know the song?
I do know the song. I lived in Texas for 10 years. I know the song.
Yeah, I'm getting a little delay between my phone and the radio show.
Are you? We don't hear it. So is it bothering you? We don't hear it in the studio. So yeah, if you can handle it. Are you hearing my voice or yours mostly?
It's about a second slow. So
okay.
Well, I wanted to comment and go on and add on to what you guys were discussing about the veterans. And I was looking at it as far as there are other, as far as methods, as far as the depression and suicide rates and things of that nature. And there are various ways in which people can clear their mind instead of worry about expectations, but relax. And even consider the successes and things that they've accomplished in their lifetime as serving as veterans. And the fact that it doesn't, and what they do don't just affect them, it also affects their families.
Yeah.
So, and families are affected. And so, and there are many ways, such as one can look at hanging around a group of friends, getting involved in the arts, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Trying new things, probably, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because art is a huge component on. I see a lot of veterans getting into art for healing purposes, and we talked with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, art.
Can we ask you a question before we let you go?
Okay.
What do you do to get into your happy zone? What makes you happy?
All right. Well, me personally, I'm a veteran myself. I served 3 tours during OIF.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And what I do is I assist an artist named Lorna Renee, and she's a mother of a retired Army veteran and the mother of 2 OIF veterans. And what she's doing is, she's actually trying to honor 100,000 veterans with her art exhibition in Oklahoma City at the state capitol building. And like I said, these type of projects are, I believe, are great projects, because in the day it's honoring those who serve. It takes the stress off people with the PTSD, the people who are going through depression. It also heals the families. It lets everyone come together, and things of that nature, because the art is culture, art is healing, art is understanding.
Yeah. Love it. You found purpose. You're doing something that you believe in, and you're connecting with people. Like, those are all my favorite things.
Yeah.
Art, people.
When's your program?
All right. Well, the art exhibition itself is November 1st through the 9th. And there's an award ceremony where she will actually, like I said, during the art exhibition, throughout the exhibition, she will be honoring, the goal is to honor 100,000 veterans. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your families, for the sacrifices that they have made. She will be depicting her own sacrifices.
Send us links so we can send us some links so we can share that out via social media. Yeah. So connect with Robert and I on what's your favorite social media? Like Twitter?
Right now, she is growing on Facebook right now. It's Lorna Renee. It's LORNA, and the separate word is RENE with the accent on top with the last E.
All right, we'll try to find her, and then we'll share that out after the show.
Do me a favor, and you can use my platform, You're the Vet. Go to the Facebook, You're the Vet Facebook site, and we'll look at it as a shared platform. And so share me the information. I'll share it out up until November 1st, and we'll see how many people we can get on board with helping you out, raise money.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thanks so much for calling. Thanks so much for calling.
Yeah, man.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. All right. We've got a new caller. Let's see if we get this. Hello.
Good day.
Hi.
Hi. Who's speaking?
Hi, George.
Hi, George.
Hello, George.
Welcome to the show.
I want to talk about the Google engineer.
Okay, let's talk about him.
Well, ultimately, people that write manifestos, aside from Karl Marx, are individuals that are too caught up in their own head. So that's the first red flag. The second red flag is that it was 10 pages long. This means that this guy had a lot of time on his hands. And when you're at Google, you're supposed to be Googling. So obviously he was not on a high-intensity revenue-generating project.
It's true. He wasn't. Yeah, maybe they probably will make a case for that if this goes to court, that he wasn't being productive and wasn't working.
Was it written at work? For sure.
I mean, certain. We don't know. But, 10 pages, I would lean into that. I think that's a lot. I mean, I like to write, but I've spent hours just writing like 100 words, to get them right. So 10 pages is.
What do you think his reason was for it, George?
Ultimately, he was in a very privileged position and had a lot of time, and he was stuck in his own head, and he got 10 pages out of it. But it's multiple red flags, because you're working at a company where that's the focus of the internet. I mean, if there's one company aside from Apple that is going to get a lot of attention, it's going to be Google. Mm-hmm. And it's not like this guy can go and get another technology job if he then becomes, you're the guy who wrote the 10-page manifesto. I mean, there's no way he's going to live that down.
Yeah. Watch, there's a documentary out on Netflix right now about the guy that wrote the Anarchy cookbook. And it's, it's very related to what we're talking about right now. I mean, he was a young guy. He had some angst in him when he wrote it. And, really wasn't thinking about the consequences at all. And, has had to deal with the fact that that's been the center of a lot of really vicious hate crimes. and it's out there, and he can't do anything about it. And, you know, and it did come up in his career. And he actually, I'm not going to tell you everything, but I really recommend everybody watching this, because he definitely was.
You gotta give us the title first.
I don't even know the title.
I'm a documentary
Somebody
horror,
call it, look it up really quick and send it, because I don't even remember the title.
You gotta watch this movie. I don't know what it's called.
I will share it. I will share it after in the archives of the show. But you know, it's really powerful, and like, you know, he wasn't relating at the time. He met his wife afterwards. You know, had a pretty happy life, but really, you know, had some regrets around that. But you know, if you just had a friend at the time to go, hey, buddy, maybe not. Maybe you shouldn't put that out there.
Yeah.
You know, like, run this stuff by each other.
So it was complete accident.
No, it wasn't a complete accident.
I mean, like the backlash, the fire that it caused.
He wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah,
it wasn't an
that's-
accident. He was a young guy just going, you know, I'm not happy with what the government's doing right now. Like, I think everybody should have the same information that the military has in terms of making bombs and protecting themselves. And he's like, I'm going to put this out there. And he was kind of fascinated with the publishing industry. I mean, that's pretty much, at the time, that's as far as he got.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's good. I'll definitely look it up, or maybe someone calling in knows about it. We didn't get to say goodbye to George. I think he dropped. But
Thanks, George.
Bye.
But thanks, George. Oh, he's still. Thanks, George.
All right.
Hi, you're on air. Hello?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Hello?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Hi.
What is your name?
My name is Lorenzo McNulty.
Hello, Lorenzo McNulty.
Hello. You had a really great comment in the feed. Can I read it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like this. And I think there's truth to this. It says, the vibration of the phone has been said to give people the same levels of anxiety as hearing gunshots.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that based off Skinner?
That thing that Robert was saying about the FOMO, and what social media has done to our brains, and keeping us hyper connected. I call this, or I relate this more closely to. I don't know if you have kids as the host. By the way, I love that shirt. Well-behaved women.
Thank you.
Rarely do make history.
Thank you.
But I related to this thing. You know, I remember I had my third child and being in the lactation consultant's office, and the lady was telling us about, you know, sometimes your baby's going to cry, you know, and there's not going to be anything that you're going to be able to do for the baby. It's just that, you know, the understanding is that they have new senses. It's brand new. The first time they're hearing things, seeing things, thinking things, tasting things, feeling things, and they don't know how to process it, right?
Yeah.
And so they are called overstimulated, you know, and as a world that is now immersed in social media, we are those same things, right? And it leads a lot to the depression that we were talking about. As a person who has battled through depression, that hit kind of home, because I am a veteran. You know, and one of the greatest mountains and the greatest bits of deception that all of us are out there trying to battle. One, it stems from giving our identity to the institution that we're a part of. You know, as a Marine, you are no longer you. You are no longer, you know, you are a recruit. You are building up to become a Marine, and that's your identity.
Yeah.
And so when you transition out, you are separating yourself in your mind from the identity that you've carried for 5, 10, 30 years, right? And so separating yourself from that identity, it leads you into a place where you feel like you're by yourself, which is that deception, right? You feel like you're the only one who could be having these bad thoughts, you know, and you're ashamed of it. And so what I encourage all of our veterans to do, so especially, you know, with Robert, and we actually talk a lot. I don't call him Robert, so it's awkward for me to say.
What do you call him? Do you have a fun nickname?
I call him. I call him Gravy 1 because Arlene is Gravy 2. Jake is Gravy 3 now.
Okay.
So it's a gravy train.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you think about it.
Nice. I'm glad I'm sitting next to the gravy train.
No, like and that's it's funny because like the overstimulation and then mixed with that whole B.F. Skinner mindset of, you know, ringing the bell. I mean, Pablo, you know, where you're just sitting there. Yeah, Skinner. Different nice experiment. But Pablo, just like you were saying, you know, that vibration is it's instant gratification sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. and you're conditioned to check your phone. You're conditioned, so that's a great way to come around that, because I've never actually thought about the conditioning our phones do to us more than like social media and XYZ, but like that vibration.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is we call him the guide. Like, he's always been a phenomenal leader in what he does, and he's always been literally the person that has the guide. He's been the guide. They've labeled him the guide. So he's doing great things. So, but I enjoy your banter, Mr. McNulty. Thank you for calling.
Do we have a question for him?
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Do you want a silly question or a deep question?
You know what? Surprise me.
I talk to veterans. What would you want to ask a veteran?
What would I want to ask a veteran? Well, geez. I'm going to flip it and go, what would you want to be asked? Like, I think, my immediate thing is always to be thankful and express that. But I wonder if does that ever get old? Is there another thing that you would like someone to ask you? That's what I want to ask.
What, like, thank you?
Like, well, does it ever just, when someone says thank you for your service, it's very quick. Like, is there anything more that could happen in that exchange that that feels good to you? That's my question. That's
a very good question. I think that we get that so much. People see our license plates, or they see that we bank with a certain institution, and they automatically ask, hey, were you in the service? If so, thank you so much for your service. And one of the things is, many of us went in, on our own, and we wanted to do something great. So, it wasn't for the thank yous. And that's not to say don't thank us anymore. We appreciate that, but to add the perspective that we wanted to protect what we lived in, and or we wanted to go and be able to say that we did something with our lives and the time that we had here on this earth. So I don't know if there could be anything more than a genuine thank you, other than I've been hugged before, which was really cool.
Nice.
I've never been hugged.
Hug you randomly.
You're too big to hug. They're like, I don't hug you. Well, Lorenzo, what came up for me when you shared that is, like, I now want to ask, why did you join? Like, what made you sign up to, like, hear that story, that personal story? How would you receive that question?
I got to a point in my life where I knew that there had to be a different side of life, facing a lot of the challenges that I faced growing up in a small town in Brookhaven, Mississippi. And there was something on me that was, this isn't it. This isn't enough. And it was like, okay, well, you're in an infancy stage. Many people think that they're old because they got so many years under their belt and have witnessed so many birthdays. But what I became very clear on, I guess the clarity set in, was the amount of time that I would have an opportunity to have on this earth potentially. Yeah. And what did I want to be known for? Like, when somebody's reading, reading up on me, I didn't want to say eulogy, but when someone's at that point, they're going to be reading the story that I have written with my life. Yeah. Right? And I was fortunate to get this at a very early age, just from having a very close-knit family, my mom being on me, the oldest of three boys, right? But that presence of mind, and it was like, I want to do something great. So, and no offense to my other branches of service, because I love you all, but the Marines were known to be the best. We were the few, we were the proud, and if I was going to do it, then I wanted to be the best story that you could tell. Right. So I had to be with the Marines, and a recruiter showed up at my high school in his dress blues, and all of the ladies flocked around him. So I was like, I want to be.
Now the real answer comes out.
The real answer comes out.
It all comes back to women, and the ones that behave badly mostly too.
Exactly.
We McNulty and I actually get really deep into the background of who he is and where he is. He's actually my very first guest on my podcast. I was not aware that he was going to call in today, so it was a surprise. But if you have the moment to check over at You're the Vet on that podcast,
we'll share that link as well. I got a lot to share after this.
It's a good story. It's a good story, yeah. And I mean, you can hear how clear he is in his verbs, and he speaks with intent, and so I appreciate you calling today and sharing time with us.
I as well.
I couldn't miss it. I couldn't miss it, brother.
Rah, rah.
Thanks for calling. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
That was great. You know, I have to apologize to George. George had like such a great, he just did a good job of bringing home the Google topic, and I didn't get to ask him a question, and I apologize for that, George. So if you're still around, we only have a couple minutes, and you want us to hit you up with a question, give us a call. So we've got one more caller, and then we're probably going to have to wrap up. So we're going to take this one call right now. Hello, can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi, who are we talking to?
My name is Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. Where are you calling from?
Hi, Ashley.
Redlands.
Redlands.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for calling in. What would
be here?
What's on your mind, Ashley from Redlands?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that one part. I had a little skip in my service.
What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? So, my cousin is serving right now in the Marines.
Popular today.
So,
yeah.
Hoorah to you.
Hoorah.
And thank you for your servise.
Yeah.
Shout out to the cousin.
My question is, and kind of going along the lines of pursuit of happiness, and me and my cousin were very close growing up. Like, there's a whole bunch of us. There's about 6 of us that are really close. And what I'm nervous about, because he's supposed to be getting out next year, I just want to be, I guess, supportive and an advocate. And I know that there's a bunch of organizations that I can support to, like, kind of foster that. But with him and my relationship, I worry just, things have changed. Obviously, he's been through a lot that I won't understand. But I guess I'm just kind of wondering, like, what I can do to foster his individual happiness. Like, is there things that I could say or do to support him without, I don't know, offending him or, being maybe too overbearing? I just want to be supportive, but I don't want to kind of suffocate him,
Well, I'll tell you, the very first thing, there's very few people who leave the service right away and have a job lined up, but it's possible, right? So depending on how much longer he's got in, he can start, if he's ready to start moving into a new career, a new life, now is the time to start that. Now is the time to, get out there and network and look into stuff that he's into. And I don't tell people at this point, because I spent 6 years in an industry that I hated with all my life. And I encourage people, like, to explore their hobbies at this point, right? Dive, like I used to dive, so I started diving and volunteering with the Science Center. If you're into filmmaking, like this is the time where this is the time that veterans have to explore right when they get out. If they have no ties to family, to friends, like now is the time to go travel the world. Now is the time to travel the world outside of the camis and where you don't have limitations from individuals telling you what time to be back on base. Now's the time to start up your own business. Now's the time to just be, on that whole level of just being your own person before you get tied down.
Sounds like a lot. Like I should be empowering him a lot.
I like that. To me, Ashley, what came up with Robert sharing on that is that does sound like a lot. Like, which avenue am I going to focus on? And I think for you, as someone that loves him and wants to support him, is just start by asking the question, like, what is it that you want to focus on, and how can I be there for you? And I would expect, and Robert, you tell me if I'm right or wrong here, is you might not get an answer the first time, but ask again and tell him that you're going to ask him again and let him know that you're going to ask again, because you're just like looking for his guidance and you're just going to be there. Like you're willing to just be there. And, it might be like going to a networking thing for, for work or whatever, but you're just going to consistently say, I'm going to show up for you. There's a big
gap in trying to find our identity and who we are outside of the service. And so, I wrote about it in my book, How to Grow a Beard, where it's, I came back to when I got out, my friends knew me as the class clown, and I was a 10-year different person, right? I had life under me, and you don't expect him to be the same person. And if he does, if he shies away from being around the family, just understand that he hasn't acclimated to that portion yet, and that it's okay to. I said it earlier. It's okay to share a minute of silence. It doesn't. We don't have to talk about it. And realistically, what a lot of civilians get into, and I know we're rolling on time, but you don't have to talk. Like, if we want to talk about what happened in the sandbox, then we'll talk about it. But you can ask too, right? There's this stigma like, oh, we shouldn't talk to vets, so we shouldn't ask them questions. Like, hey man, you good? Is everything good to go? It's just a matter of just being human, right? Bringing the humanistic aspect and not forcing your way. Hey, you got to get acclimated. You got to be out here. You're out of the service now. Yeah. It's just it's really just be. It sounds like you're a good person and that you care. And I think that's going to pay dividends in the end when it comes to.
Yeah, my family and I were just concerned, are we going to be too overbearing? But yeah, we definitely want to be supportive. And I did listen to your podcast when you had the starter of the program MVP, and I think that's great. I don't know I think my cousin's coming back to Redlands, but I just don't know if there's something similar to that out here.
Yeah.
I know he's big into working out, and that could be a big outlet for him and to be around people like him. But I also want to bridge the gap between some of us civilians with him.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's all about similarities.
Yeah, it's all good advice.
Yeah.
And I want to be careful and I want to be supportive.
Yeah.
I just want to be there for him when he comes back, and hopefully we can, our relationship, I'm sure as friends, all of us are going to be a little different, but I'm hoping it'll be strong still, maybe in its own way. But
the power of Google, I'm telling you, the power of Google, I say this all the time. If you don't know what's not out there and you're looking for something that's man, I just want to get into cooking. Are there other vets that are into cooking? Google, veteran cooking programs. I'm telling you, anything that he's into, you can help him find by being resourceful for and with him. So that's my biggest giveaway. It's if he's not going to be resourceful, be resourceful for him.
And I'm a baker. I'm a big-time baker. That's my happy outlet. I don't think he'll be down with making cupcakes with me,
but probably eating them. He'll probably appreciate eating them, though, so that's always good.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thanks so much for calling in, Ashley.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ashley.
Love the show.
Have a great day. All right. We did this. We successfully had call-ins today. Yeah. It's the first time I've ever done this. I love that. I mean, I love that we had some,
some non-awkward conversations with callers.
We had some. That's probably what I'm thinking. Some non-awkward conversations with callers. Yeah, that worked out.
Sorry, George.
Yeah, I do. I really apologize to George. I really wanted to ask you a question. So maybe you can show up in Facebook Live and I'll answer that question. Let's have some more interaction there. But yes, that does bring us to the end of our first ever Ask and Answer show. I think we'll do this again. We do the Hartswell thing, about the Hartswell thing. Do you have one?
Not this week.
Okay.
I've been so I blocked off a week so I can focus on learning how to code.
Okay.
So I have not been thinking about anything but coding.
I might have one, and I'm going to do this quickly. I have a friend that, for as long as I've known him, he's struggled with just being happy, and yet he is he's the funnest guy to be around. He's so much fun to be around. But because I know him, I know that there's something going on underneath that's it's not, everything's just not clicking. And I just want to say, keep trying different things, and don't give up, because you make a lot of other people happy. And I think that just leaning into your own quietness and be willing to try new things will get you there. I don't think you're that far away, and maybe sometimes it's just easier to be happy for everybody else and be the life of the party, but try something different, because it's there. I think it's in your reach. So I just want to put that out there. we're all capable of this.
Yeah. You know, I was going through something real quick, like not too long ago, where I told my wife, I was like, I just need to go put my feet in the sand. It's been like 2 years at some point, well, probably a year, but just reconnecting with something that means like that allows you to just ground yourself, like
totally.
hike, to put your feet in the grass, the water, something like that.
Totally. The hammock, whatever it is for you, find it.
Find it.
Find it. All right. So that's the end of the show. I want to put out a social challenge. So just this interruption thing, like we're all experiencing them. Just, spend some time just noticing. Don't judge them. Don't go, I caught myself interrupting myself, but just notice them and challenge yourself to slow down and breathe and just say, what do I need right now? Like, what I really need. And sometimes you won't have an answer, and that's okay. But if you keep asking, you'll have answers. And then from those answers, you can have something to do around those answers, and things will feel better to you, and you'll have experiences that, feel closer to happiness and joy if you do that. So that's a social challenge of just like slowing down, paying attention to your interruptions. And that's it. Next week, Dr. Lee Hauser will be on talking about relating with money and children, which lessons that we need to know, or which lessons we need to teach our children early. And until then, I just encourage everybody to relate with a lot of curiosity for yourself and for others. See you later.
Bye-bye. I said bye-bye.
You said bye-bye. You said bye-bye.
You're listening to Relatable with Stephanie Michelle, only on LA Talk Radio.